What's up YouTube, it's TF Collector, and today I'll be reviewing the Transformers Studio Series number 23 Deluxe Class KSI SENTRY from Transformers Age of Extinction. So before we take a look at the figure, let's go ahead and take a look at the packaging it does come in. So on the front we have a nice image of the KSI SENTRY. He is number 23 of Studio Series. He is not really a Decepticon, but they put it there anyways. KSI SENTRY 8-Up Hasbro Transformers Age of Extinction, Transformers Generations Takara Tomy on this side. He is number 23 of Studio Series. Nice profile image of the KSI SENTRY there. Deluxe class in many languages on the other side. That same image zoomed out of the KSI SENTRY. You have an Autobot logo there. Authentic there. On the back of the packaging, he is big screen inspired from Transformers Age of Extinction. He is KSI SENTRY from the Hong Kong Pursuit scene. You can see some more images of him there. Number 19, not 19, 19 steps, not number 19. Hijacked by the Decepticons, the KSI SENTRY combat drones flood the city in a pursuit of the seed. Backdrop include, we'll take a look at that later. Some other figures that you can check out. There are reviews for Bumblebee and Dropkick on the channel. I do not own Shadow Raider as of now. You can see this here. Somehow I managed to get a sort of Japanese version of this figure. Not sure how that happened, but it happened. Hasbro there on the bottom, a barcode, and on the top, Transformers Age of Extinction. And before we take a look at the figure itself, he does of course include his instruction manual. And as I previously noted, I somehow managed to get a Japanese version of this figure, but cool, I guess. Studio Series 23 KSI SENTRY Age of Extinction. Picture of him there, 8-Up Transformers and Generations logo there on the back. Takara and Hasbro. And yeah, I'm not sure how I got the Japanese version, but pretty cool, I think. And moving on to the figure itself, here is the KSI SENTRY from Age of Extinction, and this is a repaint, slight retool of Stinger that we've already checked out on the channel. But coming close on the details, you can see some nice molded details on the front grille, just done in black. Nice blue throughout the figure. I really like the coloring they used here. You can see the silver headlights going on there. These mirrors are not a super rubbery plastic, but they are a little rubbery, so they can handle being smacked around a little bit. You have your nice translucent windshield there. Overall, you can see some nice molded details all throughout. Doesn't look bad. You don't have pinned on wheels, unfortunately. They are just on a mushroom peg, but not bad. I do wish they could have painted that black there, but doesn't look terrible. On the back, some more molded detailing. You can see the tail lights, all that good stuff. There's the bottom of the figure. There is the top. He does, of course, roll with the wheels. Unfortunately, not very well due to the fact that they are mushroom pegged on. But overall, I think that this vehicle mode looks pretty cool. And accessory-wise, KSI SENTRY does only include one, and it is this spear-looking thing that we will talk more about in robot mode. But it can store in vehicle mode. But before we do that, you can just see the detailing there on that. And as far as the storage goes, that tab there will just plug into that slot there. So you can just tab that on, and you can have a nice spear-looking thing on the top of your KSI SENTRY. And just for a quick comparison, here is the KSI SENTRY with the original version of this mold. Studio Series number 2 Stinger, so you can see how they look together. Of course, Stinger done in the red, and KSI SENTRY more of a blue coloring, but you can see how that looks out. You can see KSI SENTRY has more of a clear window, as Stinger had the darker window. The Autobot, or Decepticon rather, logo is on Stinger, but not on KSI SENTRY, which doesn't really make sense. I don't know why they put it on Stinger, but I'm glad they didn't stick it on the KSI SENTRY. But you can just see how that all scales together as far as the underside goes. You can see the difference there. Stinger, of course, came with these accessories, and KSI SENTRY did not. But overall, it's the same figure, just a different color. But I am glad they didn't stick the Decepticon logo on the KSI SENTRY. And with that being said, that's about all to really cover here in the alt mode. It is just a repaint of Stinger in the alt mode. You'll see the remolded part in robot mode. And with that said, let's go ahead and transform him into robot mode. So the first thing we're going to do is come up here. You're going to want to pop these pieces out, which can be a little difficult to do sometimes. Just get your nail in there and pop those pieces out. Do the same thing here on the other side. Just use your nail, get it in there and pop that section out like so. Now what you can do is come here and untab this window. You can see that tab just goes into a slot there, and this will all just swing out, and you can go ahead and rotate this 180 on that arm like so. Just get that out. Go ahead and untab this arm as well and just swing that out. You can see they will start to swing forward a little bit, and if it hasn't done it already, go ahead and bring that piece up so you can swing these pieces back and get them out of the way a little more. Now what we can do is come back here, and we're going to want to untab these back sections. You can see those tabs there. They just hook over top of, and then you're going to want to pull the legs out. You can see they just tab in right there and swing them downward. So just swing the legs downward like so. And now what we're going to do is bring these pieces down like so. Bring the other piece down like so. And then just flip his toes up on each side, like so and like so. And then straighten the legs out so that this piece is facing forward. And just take this piece and push it down, and that will come up, reveal a little bit of blue going on right there, which is pretty nice. And then what you can do is bring this section down, and it will tab in like so. And now what we're going to do is we're going to want to rotate this whole upper body section right here on this hinge. So just bring that up, and this will all rotate around. You're going to want to make sure you get everything around this area. Just swing that around like so, and that's how you want that looking. And to finish off the arms, just bring the shoulders forward and swing these pieces around. Bring the shoulders forward, swing this piece around, swing, please. Swing this piece around so that you have the chest filled out like that. And now you can bring the arms down on each side, and we'll finish those off in a second. The first thing you want to do is rotate this piece around 180, and then these two pieces will just go over top of these wheels like so. So you can see how that looks. And now as far as this goes, it doesn't include the pieces that go on it. So what you kind of just want to do is kind of just fold it up and just get it out of the way to where it's not visible. I'm not sure why they still included it on there and didn't just fix the mold and take it off, but they decided to leave it on there. So I guess that was their decision that they wanted to make, and to each their own, I guess. But use the double hinge to bring this piece back and just push that over the shoulder like so. Do the same thing on the other side. Use that double hinge to bring that back, bring it over the shoulder. And to finish this piece off, we're just going to bring it in, and we will beef up this weapon here in a second. But for now, that is the KSI SENTRY in his robot mode. And despite this being a remold / repaint of Stinger, I am pretty happy with the way the KSI SENTRY here turned out in robot mode, actually. But let's take a closer look at the details here. You can see that head sculpt there. If we can get to that to focus, I'm going to zoom in there. There we go. You can see it's very nice, actually. A new head sculpt, different than Stinger, and I think it's turned out pretty well. The blue is very nice. Some silver / gunmetal gray there on the mouth plate. Nice little visor going on there. It does have some light piping. I don't know if you can tell, but it does have a little bit of light piping going on there, which is pretty cool. And you can see some black details there. Overall, a pretty nice head sculpt in my opinion. The chest is very nice looking with some silver details, and the blue, I just think the blue looks better on this figure for some reason. I don't know. I know Stinger is like the more main character out of the two, but for some reason I'm really digging the blue. But you can just see some more black, some blues throughout, some silver details in here, some more silver up in there. Just overall, you got your big gun on this side. But overall, I am a pretty big fan of how this has turned out. The backpack, of course, you still have this little piece that isn't being used. I do wish they would have just removed that, kind of. But overall, I am actually pretty pleased with the way the KSI SENTRY looks here in robot mode. Now, as far as articulation goes in robot mode, he is a little hindered and doesn't have all the joints you like to see, but he does have a decent range of motion. The head is on a ball joint, so it can rotate a full 360, along with look up slightly and look down quite a bit. The head is also on this panel, so if you want to do that, you can. The arms are on ball joints, and you can just move that backpack piece out of the way so that you can get a full 360 out of the arm. It can move in and out. You do have a swivel here. This is a ball jointed bicep, so you have that swivel along with about 90 degrees of motion there. You do not have anything at the wrist. You do not have anything at the waist. The legs also on ball joints. You can go forward that far, backward that far, outward, you can get a full split. You do have a thigh rotation there. You do have 90 degrees of bend at the knee, and due to transformation, the foot can pivot up and down. So no ankle tilting, no waist swivel, nothing at the wrist, but overall he does move a pretty decent amount for a deluxe figure. And if we really want to complete his look, we can bring in his accessory. Now, I don't think there's any way of storing it in robot mode, but you're not really going to want to. You're just going to want to use it here. So basically, you're just going to open this piece up, and you can see that there are little grooves on the side of this piece right there. And there are two little tabs. I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see these very well, but there is a little tab right there. You can kind of see it where my fingernail is. There's another one right there, and basically you're just going to sandwich this piece in between there. So if I can do it, we'll see. We'll see how impressive I am here. See if I can squeeze that in there. I'm not really going to be able to show this on camera just due to the coloring of it, where it's so black. It kind of cannot get the lighting in there, but if I can get this around, maybe, and there we go. That's basically how you want that looking, just the claw in between there, sandwiched between those two pegs, and I think that does look pretty cool. And for a quick comparison, here is the KSI SENTRY along with the original version of this mold, Studio Series number 2 Stinger, so you can see what all they changed, what all they kept the same. We'll do a full 360 here if we can get him to stand. Just swing him around, and now he wants to fall, and oh my goodness, I'm falling apart. But if you just do the full 360 there, you can see overall mostly the same figure with the same paint details, just in different colors. And of course, you do have the new head sculpt. And hopefully I can find one on the internet. If I can, I will put a picture of the CGI model here so you can see what that looks like and what they were aiming for there. So overall, I think the KSI SENTRY is looking pretty cool, honestly. And of course, the last thing to talk about is the display base that comes in the box. If we move KSI SENTRY out of the way here and raise up a little, you can see you have the Hong Kong sequence going on back there, Studio Series 23, Transformers Age of Extinction, and you can plop, whoa now, the KSI SENTRY right in there, and that makes for a pretty cool display option if you want to use it. And something cool that just happened that I think I will feature in this video. Earlier, I talked about how I had this Japanese instruction manual, but I just opened the box, and when I got the backdrop out, I found the normal, like the American version. So, I mean, here's the American or English version, you know, Studio Series 23. There you have, I mean, I'm not going to go over all of it, but you can see pretty cool. So I got 2 instruction manuals, so I guess pick your poison. I think I'm going to put this one back in the box because this is a pretty cool little thing. But you can see I did get 2 versions of the instruction manual for whatever reason. So that is my review for the Transformers Studio Series number 23 Deluxe Class KSI SENTRY. And if you can't tell throughout this video, I'm actually very optimistic about this figure. I really enjoy it for some reason. I don't know why. It just hits a spot for me for some reason. I really enjoy the blue paint. I think the head sculpt looks good. I enjoy the inclusion of the extra accessory that didn't come with Stinger, just to give him a different look there on the blaster on his arm. I think that the vehicle mode, even with Stinger, looked really awesome. The transformation is decently fun. I mean, it's fun to transform him back and forth. There are some pieces that are a little too tight that take a little stress to like unpeg them, especially coming into robot mode from vehicle mode. But overall, I just really enjoy this figure for some reason. I don't know why. I feel like I shouldn't. I feel like most people probably don't. But for some reason, I really like this figure, and I honestly like it better than Stinger. I could not tell you why, because Stinger is the more popular character. He is the character you see more in the movie. But for some reason, just the blue color scheme, and I really dig the head sculpt. It's making me like this figure more, and I don't know why. And also, I don't know why it came with 2 instruction manuals, one in Japanese, but I thought that was pretty cool, so that adds to the experience a little. So, I mean, for some reason, I really dig this figure, so if I had to rate him, I mean, he's not perfect, he's not the greatest figure ever, but I'm gonna go a little higher than I gave Stinger. I'm gonna give this guy a 7 out of 10. For some reason, I'm really enjoying this figure. I'm laughing about it, because I've always hated on this figure, but for some reason, just getting him out and messing around with him and taking a closer look at him is actually made me kind of enjoy the figure more than Stinger, which is crazy. But I mean, it's my opinion. I mean, I guess you enjoy what you enjoy. So he's going to get a 7 out of 10 for me. That is my review for the KSI Sentry. Next, I think, is World War II Bumblebee. So that should be a fun one. Enter extreme sarcasm. But until then, guys, don't forget to not give up the things you love for the approval of others. Roll out. Peace.